Yeah, thanks for playing, Beth. I know I'm gonna let Brian ask the next question because I know he always wants to ask.
Okay.
Where's the nearest bathroom? I'm kidding.
Oh,
Beth,
You are
what's
just
next?
beating this dead horse, Brian.
Oh, no.
I'm beating the dead horse?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the DCL Duo Podcast, brought to you by my Path Unwinding Travel and Sam review time. Yet once again,
Woohoo!
we're back. We have migrated all of our show information into a database. I've incorporated automations now. We're moving into the 19th century from where we were before, right?
Yeah, the computers are taking over.
These newfangled computers are amazing.
I for one welcome our future computer overlords.
Yes. So we have an actual human review coming to us today, though, from a Rotary Senator, who writes, "Love the show. Brian and Sam provide a great podcast on all things Disney Cruise Line. I especially appreciate the pragmatic comparisons between Disney and other cruise lines. When comparing other cruise lines, I would love to hear more detail on how Kids Club care, hours available, shore care, and experience stack up to Disney. Thanks, John." So, John, happy to provide that info for you. We do try to do those comparisons in some detail, but we're happy to provide that info for you. But thank you for that review. And as always, if you are out there listening and you want to help support the show, one of the easiest ways to do it is to head over to Apple Podcasts, hit those 5 stars. And if you leave us a written review, we will read it on the air at the top of one of our main episodes for the week. So, Sam, we got a fun returning guest.
We do. We are so excited to welcome Beth back onto the show. Welcome back, Beth.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here again.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you back. It's always nice to have returning faces, people we know and interact with quite a bit, especially in our Facebook group. We interact with you a lot, Beth. You're super active in our group, and we always appreciate that. We love your contributions. Before we jump in and talking about your cruise that you just went on, which was a fantasy 4-night sailing, adults only, which we, of course, always love to talk about adults only. Sorry to Rotary Senator. We are not going to be talking about Kids Club hours on this show. But as Brian said,
bar closing hours are totally on the table today. So yes.
But yeah, we could talk about that for sure. But we have some other episodes where we talk about that, but we can talk about that more for sure. But we're super happy to have you on, Beth, to talk about your adults only sailing. Why don't you remind folks your background with Disney and Disney Cruise Line in particular?
Okay, my Disney background is kind of like I had that one big Disney World family trip as a teenager, and that was it until 2015. We decided to do a family Disney cruise with my daughter, who was only 4 at the time. And then that was kind of a difficult venture, which is what I talked about the last time I was on. And so we kind of waited maybe almost 10 years before we dipped our toe back in. And so I kind of got back into Disney by doing a big Orlando, Disney World, and Universal trip. Then we did Disneyland, and then we got back on a cruise on the Dream last spring break, so right about a year ago.
Yeah, and that's when we talked about that sailing and sort of the differences over time, and also how your daughter did on that cruise. I know that one of the things we talked about was sort of prepping an anxious kiddo for a sailing and how that can go and what kinds of ways you can prep. Now, this sailing that you recently went on, it was just you and your husband. How did that all happen?
Okay, that happened starting because we were supposed to do another cruise for Thanksgiving break last Thanksgiving, and it was supposed to be out of Galveston on the Magic. But my daughter, she didn't super love the spring break cruise, and then she kind of started having a lot of anxiety again, when school started in the fall. And so she got really nervous about flying again, really nervous about travel in general. and she was having like a lot of stomach aches with her anxiety. And then that kind of like makes her afraid to fly, afraid of the ship, all of this stuff. And so we were just like, oh my gosh, like our pay in full date was coming up, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, if she's gonna like be hesitant at all, I think we should cancel it. So sadly, we canceled it. We changed it into a Disneyland trip, but still, she refused to fly. This is like in November. Like we had already paid
Oh,
for it, all the
oh.
stuff, and we like we tried everything to be like, well, maybe just Ron and I go by ourselves. She did not want to stay with my parents. It was like all of this stuff at once. And so we're like, okay, we moved that to this Thanksgiving coming up, 2025,
Mhm.
like as far out as we could to like try and like work on her therapy, you know, all of that stuff for another year. And, but I was like, I didn't get my Disney fix that I had planned, you know, and I was waiting and waiting. I was like, oh my gosh. So, like, we were just like, we have got to do something, get out of here. Cause we like switched our plans to just visiting my parents for Thanksgiving and Christmas, which we drive to. And we were just like, this is not good. And so she had her a 4-day weekend for President's Day. So we were just kind of like in January, just like, we've got to get out of town. You know, we got that cabin fever with like, we had some snowstorms and it's pretty miserable. I live in Tulsa. So the winter, it can get super cold. And so anyway, I started like looking at the cruises. Well, I'm like continuously looking at cruises, but I was like, seriously, like, okay, are there any that fit on that weekend? And she was doing better with her anxiety as far as like able to stay with my parents. And then she has a cousin up there in the same age that could come over. So I was like trying to set up all this stuff like, okay, your cousin's going to be here these nights. You know, you have schoolwork for these days, and like trying to work it out. I couldn't find the exact, you know, cruise to fit on the weekend because we did not want to do a 3-day or 3-night. And so 4 was kind of like the lowest that we would
Yeah, the
go.
best you could come up with that kind of fit your
Yeah.
schedule. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Listen, like I know, and we had a lot of years of struggle when Nathan was younger. He's gotten easier over time, but you know, that may change. You never sort of know how things go.
Mhm.
But we had like a very difficult time for several years. And our only escape was taking, I mean, I know it sounds funny, but we talked about how our first couple of cruises were without Nathan. And that was because we needed that time to recharge. And it was
Mhm.
like our parent coach gave us like a prescription. She was like,
Yeah,
you need time away
I love that.
as adults, like to recharge your batteries, because in order to be the parent you want to be, you also need time to relax and recharge. And in a situation like yours, Beth, where your daughter is having a lot of anxiety related to travel, so you can't you can't have your chosen vacation with her. Sometimes that means taking a vacation without your kid. And I just want to I want to say kudos to you for doing that, because I really think a lot of parents, especially of kids with any kind of higher need, and I say that I mean whether that's anxiety, whether that's a disability like autism, you know kids who are those higher needs kids take a lot out of their parents, take a lot of energy and a lot of dedication. And so it is, important to make sure you have time to recharge. So like I said, kudos to you and your husband for doing that. Tell us how did the plans work out as far as when were you leaving? Because this was over like a 3-day weekend. Well, the
Yeah.
3-day weekend was near this, right? So this was like around President's Day weekend, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
so what day did you obviously you got to take your daughter to your parents' house, right?
Yes.
And drop her off, and then you guys fly out. But when did you fly out? Like what day of the week?
Okay, so the cruise was February 12th to 16th. So we flew out on the 11th and we had to take my daughter on the 10th because my parents live in Topeka. So it was like a 4-hour drive. And then we had to fly out of Kansas City instead of Tulsa. So that was like all new. Like, we don't use that airport a ton, but they have more direct flights from there. So that was nice. But so we decided to do the MCO Hyatt for the night before, which we hadn't tried before.
Yeah. What did you think?
We thought it was awesome. It was like, you don't have to like rush around, get your luggage, try to get an Uber, all of that stuff. And then since it was kind of last minute and we found out our travel agent had booked it as like, we told her we wanted to do the DCL transport, but she had booked it just from the airport, not from the hotel at the airport, which is different.
Oh, it is different. Yes. This
Yeah.
this is a good pro tip, right? If you are staying at the MCO Hyatt, you need to like book the transportation and the hotel sort of together through Disney, or even if you book them separately, when you book your transportation through Disney Cruise Line, you need to make sure you're clear that you're not just getting transportation from the airport, because if transportation from the airport is down by luggage claim area
Yes.
versus transportation from the MCO Hyatt is
Mhm.
you meet in the hotel and then you go down all sort of as a group to your buses, and they're separate buses. So that's a
Yes.
really good distinction.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell us, how did it end up working out? I mean, did you figure out
Well,
the way that it had been booked technically
luckily,
incorrectly, or
well, I kept waiting for like an email that said what time to meet and stuff, and I never
Mhm,
got it. So I'm like texting my TA, like,
mhm.
I haven't gotten the info. And so I went and talked to the front desk, and they were like, we don't see you on the list. And I'm like, oh my gosh, panicking, texting my TA, like, help. And so she called for us, thankfully, and made the switch. And so then I went back to the front desk and I asked him because we didn't get our luggage tags because we booked on January 27th. I went back to look for my email and it
Oh,
was
like 2
so
weeks
late.
before. Yeah, that's like
Yes,
2
it
weeks
was
before the cruise.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they didn't have time to send the tags and like all of this. We had never done the DCL transport before either because we hadn't sailed from Port Canaveral before. So yeah, we got all that figured out. And then I got the information of like what time to go down and I think like it was kind of like the earliest time was like maybe 8:30 and I think we were supposed to go down at 9:30, something like that. And so and then they were supposed to get our luggage from the room for us, which was awesome. And they hadn't gotten it by the time we went down, but we just left it in the room, which is so scary. We're just
Totally
like,
scary,
oh my gosh,
terrifying.
oh
Yeah.
my luggage. Just
They
leave it
do,
here.
I think they do tend to pick it up earlier, but
Hmm.
it isn't something to worry about if they haven't picked it up. Like, there
Yeah,
it will get picked up. I mean, if anything, the Hyatt's going to be doing their room cleaning and room
true.
turnover, so they're gonna make sure that that luggage gets
Yeah,
to DCL. But it is
right.
definitely something that's scary. Well,
And when
how
we checked in, they also asked us, like, is your luggage still up there?
Mhm.
And I said, yes. So,
Now, you did the whole check-in process then at the Hyatt. You didn't even have
mhm,
to do the check-in at the
yes.
port then, right?
Yes, we showed them our passports and they gave us a boarding group for the shuttle. So we were in the second group and they were running a little bit late. Like I think we ended up leaving at 10 a.m.
Mhm.
or 10:30, something like that.
Now, when you get to the port, were you able to go like right through security? Because you obviously you can bypass at that point because you've already done your check-in, you've got your boarding group. I presume you bypass check-in and just go right through security to go into the terminal.
Yes, they dropped us off, like, it felt like it was like a back door or something, but it was like under kind
It's
of like
great.
a portico thing.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, there was security like as soon as you walk in. And then we went up the escalator to the big waiting area in the terminal. And so since we booked it super late, our port arrival time was 1:30.
Mhm.
And then since we took the DCL transport, we boarded, I think it was actually like 11:40, about 11:30, 11:40. So it was like, 2 hours before we would have gotten on.
It's a huge benefit. I mean, I think a lot of people are starting to realize now, like if you want to get on the ship earlier, that the Disney transportation is a really good option. Well, let's talk about some of the stuff. Well, was this your first time on the Fantasy? Remind me. I know you had been on the
Yes.
Dream before, right? Okay. What was your first ship? I can't remember.
The Wonder.
The Wonder. Okay, so
Mhm.
Wonder, Dream, and now Fantasy.
Mhm.
First impressions of the Fantasy. I mean, I know she's the sister ship of the Dream, but her decor is
Mhm.
different. Did you have any specific thoughts about the Fantasy, or think she was better or not better than the Dream?
I mean, I thought it was really pretty. The chandelier, of course, was really neat. And the mini statue is kind of fun in the atrium. And then I don't know. I it was kind of nice because we had just recently been on the Dream, so we didn't have to like learn a new layout and where all the restaurants and lounges and stuff were. So that was cool. I did like the theming a little bit better of like the Europa area.
Yes, the adult area is definitely, I think the superior theming is on the Fantasy for sure. Like you have, of course, you have Barcelona, the bathrooms. I always talk about the bathrooms. I love those. But not even including Barcelona, you still have like each bar space in Europa is themed to a different country, and it's just really fun. They just do a really nice job with it, I think.
I'm gonna have to start soliciting. Like, if you have your favorite bathrooms on board Disney Cruise Line, can you please send them to us? We'll do a whole show dedicated to. There's entire blogs dedicated to best bathrooms at Disney
Or
World. So
yes, there's ones about mostly are they're about like the coolest bathrooms, like because there are some bathrooms that have pretty cool like decor and stuff. And on
Mhm.
those lists, I kid you not, I have seen Barcelona on some of those
Oh,
lists. Yeah,
really?
yeah, because it's the
Whoa.
only cruise ship one you will see on the list. But I listen.
Yeah.
We've been inside some of the suites. Like I've been on some of the treasure got to tour some of the suites.
Mhm.
There were some really nice bathrooms, like
Oh,
in
wow.
like the what is it Bagheera and what's the other
Ooh.
lion on in Aladdin? But anyway the lions, like the lion and the jaguar. I can't remember the names, but anyway. Those
Mhm.
suites are like the bathrooms are incredible, like with the
Oh,
standing
wow.
tub and all of that. But anyway, I
Cool.
digress on bathroom talk.
you think? You think?
sorry to our audience who's like, what the heck is she talking about? Why is she talking about bathrooms?
Hey, you use it more than any other room.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Beth. Thank you for the support. Well, let's talk about some of the stuff you guys got to do on the ship, because obviously this is a 4-night cruise, but I know
Mhm.
you told us you guys packed a lot into that 4 nights.
Yeah.
Let's start with ports, because we know you went to Lookout, but what were your other? You went to, was it Nassau and Lookout on this cruise?
Yes.
Okay. So did you do anything at Nassau? Let's off the ship, I mean. Let's start there.
No, we did not.
Okay.
Like on our last one, we did get off and do like a whole island tour and stuff, like one of those Jeep tours. And we were like, okay, we've seen enough of this place.
Never again. All right.
No offense, but we were since it was only 4 nights, we were like, we need the
Yeah.
ship time.
You need the ship time. Absolutely. Let's talk about Lookout first, and then we'll talk about the ship time. Was this your first time to Lookout Key?
Yes.
Oh, that makes me so excited. Well, I mean, let's start with the pier, okay? You get off the ship and you see the
Mhm.
pier. impressions, thoughts? Were you dreading this 10-minute pier walk that,
Oh my
were you
goodness.
marked safe from the
Yes.
pier?
We were I mean, it is daunting just when you just look out, you're like, wow, that looks so far. But yeah, I mean, I timed it on my watch and I think it was 12 minutes for us, and we were not walking super fast. And yeah, the only thing was it was really, really windy. It was really sunny. So I could see how it's like not a comfortable situation. And then I was sure to wear my tennis shoes and bring my sandals in the bag just in case. And then we had water and all of that. So we were safe. But yeah, it's just funny because you think about how much you walk. Like I was thinking of comparing it to Castaway, and I'm like, this seems to be the same distance. Like if you don't take the tram and you just walk to the beach.
Yes, if you don't take the tram and you walk to like Family Beach 1, I think it would
Which
I
we
think that no
did, yeah.
question it would be the same distance. Now, is it longer than, the walk to just the tram at Castaway? Yes, it definitely is. And if it's windy and if it's sunny, yeah, I mean those are conditions you're going to have to deal with. As we've said, like people with mobility challenges, it's going to be a harder situation. They should use the golf carts if they're able to, because that's really key, I think, for anyone who is going to have a harder time. I do think the wind can whip that pier and the sun can beat down on you. So just be comfortable. Comfortable shoes are great. I mean, I personally, the first time we were there, I think I used my sneakers. And then every time thereafter, I wore my flip flops. I was like, I don't actually need. I'm okay if you have comfortable flip flops. If you're wearing like flip flops for the first time, like, yeah, that's not a good idea. So, I mean, that's just not a good idea in general, right? Like breaking in flip flops is like the worst. Um, well, what did you get obviously to the tram to take over to the family beach area and the adult beach area? What did you think of the island? Like, what did you think of? I mean, I know there's quite a bit of construction, still undergoing or still ongoing, and so it's not quite finished. Although I would say the main area, the main, Family Beach and Serenity Bay are finished. But yeah, what did you think of those areas?
I mean, it was really pretty as far as like the sand is really nice and fine and the water was gorgeous. It still looks kind of rough as far as like foliage, and then you can kind of see some of the like construction stuff when you're taking the tram. But I mean, I thought they had a lot of signage, and the foliage I could tell was, better than it was on the preview cruises and stuff like that. So, I mean, I thought it looked nice. The structures were really neat, and the bathrooms were nice.
Bathrooms are really nice. That's actually a really good. The bathrooms are way nicer on Lookout than they are in
Wait.
Oh my
Castaway.
God. The
So
title of
much
this episode is going to be The Bathrooms Are Really
The
Nice.
bathrooms are really nice. But then the other thing that I also want to point out, we had a great episode on accessibility on the ships. And one of the great things at Lookout is they do have like adult size changing table
Mhm.
areas
Oh, yeah.
in the accessible bathrooms. And so that's
That's good.
really, yeah, it's super key for folks with accessibility issues. And so nice to sort of see them do that kind of stuff. I think the structures are, yeah, really nice. I agree. The only sort of, I wouldn't call it unpleasant, but the only area where it's like not so nice is, what you're watching when you're sitting on the tram, right? Because you can tell there's still stuff under construction. And you're right, the foliage is not, it hasn't filled in yet. You can tell it's still on its way. And you know, that's why there are places that are not well shaded, right? Because the trees are not tall enough yet, right? And Castaways had a lot more time for all that to take place. Now, did you guys hang out at Serenity Bay or did you hang out at the Family Beach? I know they're next to each other, but where did you decide to go?
Let's see. So, my husband went to get a spot, and he kind of went to like the closest place he could. I think I had to go to the restroom first. So he went to find us a beach chair and stuff. And so he ended up going, I think, to the one that's right by the water park
Yeah,
rush out, gush out
Yeah, so that's
area.
Family Beach. Yeah.
Yeah, so he went right down there and it was kind of by a lifeguard stand and just kind of grabbed the first chair there. And it wasn't super full yet. But I think like looking back, it would have been nice to kind of go like maybe to the adult beach or further down on the family beach. Cause like that part is like the craziest because it's right by the water park and
Yes.
bathrooms and all kinds of stuff. And he hadn't studied the map or listened to a zillion podcasts like I have. So he's just like, oh, here's a beach chair.
Yeah, it's also real close to the Gumbay, Cultural
Mm,
Center,
mhm.
and so that area is very lively as well, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
where the Junkanoo, parade and sort of show is going to, like, end close to there
Mhm.
as well, so you're right, like, that part of the island is gonna be the most crowded, and the description you gave is perfect. Right by Rush Out, Gush Out, that's gonna be, like, the most crowded part of the island because there's gonna be a lot of families looking for beach chairs near the water slide little area, and it's a great area if you have kids and you want to that hustle and bustle and you want to have access to everything, but it's not the quietest area on the beach. If you want the quietest area on the beach, you either have to go kind of all the way right or all the way left, right? So all the way left is Serenity Bay, all the way right is still Family Beach, but it's just a little bit further down and people don't go that way. Well, let's talk about food. We always love to talk about food, but I got to talk about food at Lookout Key because it's different. Of course, we got hamburgers and hot dogs, just like you got at Castaway. But we have French fries. We have like rice dishes that are like Bahamian inspired. We have some fish that's also like got some nice Bahamian spices on it too. What did you guys think of the food?
I thought the food was really good. I'm normally not really a fan of the Castaway barbecue, but I thought it was good. They had like more variety of salads, I guess. I went over to the Serenity Bay food area when it was lunchtime, and then that was like a little more quiet. And I don't know if they had the exact same offerings at the other two places though, but I thought it was really good. And I think I just like tried some chicken, some ribs, and then multiple salads. And then they had the little like gelato bar, ice cream bar thing there that was really good.
Yeah, and this
Uh,
is like real ice cream, not soft serve
yeah.
ice cream, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They dipped it out and asked you, what you wanted on it. And they had fruit and candy and all kinds of toppings and stuff. And I thought that was neat. And then there was also a live band over there playing. So that was cool. They were like right by the little hut where the gelato is.
Oh, awesome. I will confess, we have not spent like any time over over there. I mean, Brian, I think, walked down there during the preview to kind of just see it, but I don't even think I walked down there when we were there together, Brian. Yeah. So I don't even like I haven't it's funny, I mean, I've seen pictures and videos from Serenity Bay, but I haven't spent any time over there. But good to know that
It
they've
looks an
got that
awful
ice
lot like
cream.
the family beach. So it's not it's
Okay.
not yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's some more cabanas down there and there's a dedicated bar and food spot as Beth notes. So it's not earth-shattering, and in fact, it's getting a lot of interesting reviews online now as like kids have started to migrate up the beach into the Serenity Bay area, which you can't do on
Yeah,
Castaway.
you
So
can't do that yeah, Castaway, it's, like, more separated, although we'll see what happens with those new cabanas they're putting in, if that will I still think it'll be fine because they'll probably have a rope or something between where the family beach cabanas end and the Serenity Bay beach cabanas start, even if they're, closer to each other than they've ever been before. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how that all shakes out. Well, did you just do sort of normal standard beach, going in the water, hanging out in the chairs, that sort of thing? Did you get to, watch the Junkanoo parade or anything like that?
Okay. I spent a lot of time wandering around, like getting lost. And I thought
I love that.
the those walkways that they have, I felt like that makes it kind of hard to get around because you have to like look for the correct walkway. Like you can't get to the cultural center without like going only in one spot. And I also was going back and forth to get the character photos. And my husband just like was doing his own thing. He like totally deserted me. It was just like walking the beach and like relaxing.
You don't want to take
I think
pictures with Mickey and Minnie and in their cool Bahamian clothes? What the heck?
I think he did the Mickey and Minnie pictures with me. Then he took a walk and I went back and got Daisy and Donald. I think that's what happened. And so he was gone. Like, we didn't even eat lunch together because, you know, the Wi-Fi situation is spotty. So I'm like, does he even have his phone? Where is he? And so I was just like shopping, you know, taking photos, walking around, doing whatever. So we kind of did different things. We both got really sunburned. That was one issue that I put sunscreen on multiple times, but I still got sunburn just, you know, walking around. I wasn't even like laying very long on the chair.
But that's a good thing to tell people because that Bahamian sun is no joke, right? Like you need to like lather up and re-lather up.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're in the water, even more so because the water like helps reflect the sun. And so you actually get more sunburn. And of course, the sunscreen starts to come off when you're in the water, even if you have waterproof or water resistant sunscreen, right? So yeah, I mean, that's a really good reminder, like not just wear sunscreen, like reapply and reapply, you know, and if you're really fair skinned, like you might want to get undercover because it's not right now. Lookout Key does not have a lot of shade. It's just very, very
So Beth, what did you think of the cultural aspects? Like the Junkanoo and the rush, not the rush out guys, the Junkanoo, the
cultural center.
Well, the cultural center and the sort of the merchandise, you know, area that they have for locals. Like what did you think?
I thought it was nice the way they had the little separate kind of area for the Bahamian art and artisans to sell stuff. The cultural center was nice. I didn't get to do like I missed kind of the like story time thing. I did go over there. We watched the Junkanoo kind of like from one of those walkways that was close to it. We weren't like right up front. But when we did the Nassau tour, we went to the Junkanoo Museum and they like had a demonstration and like they showed us all the costumes and we played music with them and stuff, and they were showing us the instruments and stuff like that. So I kind of felt like I had a handle on the culture from that. So I didn't do like any of the crafts. I thought the gift shop was really nice and like they had a nice variety of stuff. I would have done the 5K if it was like ready, but apparently it's not. So yeah, they had the merchandise for it, but the trails, I guess, are not ready. And I looked a little bit on the nature trail, but it was kind of sparse. Like it had little signs and stuff. But, you know, since everything isn't like grown up, we thought about doing an excursion, but like we haven't heard any really good reviews about them. So I was kind of hesitant to try it at this point.
Yeah. I'll be honest and tell you, we haven't either. I mean, we haven't heard bad reviews. We just haven't heard reviews, right? Because, I mean, there's only a few, I think, excursions that are even up and running. And two, we're just not hearing from a lot of people who are booking them. I think in part because for most people, it's still their first time going to Lookout Key. And I think you really shouldn't book an excursion for your first time there because you want to experience, you know, Disney's private island experience. And I mean, if you're doing like a really short excursion, then, you know, of course you'll have enough time to explore the island. But I just feel like it's so nice to have that sort of leisurely time to walk around, to get lost on the walkways, to go, you know, to go see the Junkanoo parade, to go shop in the either, you know, Tings, or to go and shop in the Bahamian artisan shop. I think that's a great addition, by the way, because when I think about Castaway and there are some Bahamian things you can buy, but it's typically kind of I don't want to call it a tourist trap, but it's kind of a tourist trap. It's just like, you know, like cover ups and hats and purses. And it's not real art or artisan stuff. It's probably stuff that's like mass made in China versus on Lookout, the shop that's right next to Disney Tings, which is the shop that has all the Disney merchandise. I don't remember the name of the shop. That's why I'm referring to it as just the Bahamian Artisan Shop. Has really nice, like, handmade, like, artwork made by real Bahamians, not made in China in a factory, right? And so and really beautiful things, jewelry, paintings, sculptures, just all kinds of, different things. I think that's a really, really nice addition. Yeah.
Are you listening to our show because you want to make the most out of your next vacation? Great news, the fabulous team over at My Path Unwinding Travel can help guide you so you don't miss a thing. Their team of professional travel advisors are caring, knowledgeable, and experienced. It's why we use them to book our own travel. My Path Unwinding Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, which means they are recognized by Disney for their expertise and service. They have sailed on all the Disney ships, including in concierge, visited the theme parks, adventured with Disney, relaxed at Aulani, and so much more. Whether it's a Disney cruise, a theme park vacation, or adventures by Disney, or if you are looking to expand beyond the mouse, My Path Unwinding Travel will elevate your next vacation planning experience. Even if you have already booked, reach out for a complimentary consultation to make your vacation even more magical. Ready to talk to the experts? Head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. Thanks, My Path Unwinding, for sponsoring today's show. Now back to the episode.
Let's jump back onto the ship, because obviously the ship was the star for you all in this shorter sailing. What kinds of things did you guys get up to on board? Like, did we do any adult dining, for example?
We did do Palo dinner. And the day that we went to Lookout, it was also Valentine's Day and Pirate Night. And so it was kind of like so many things going on. But
I remember you asked about this. You asked about whether or not people wear their pirate gear to Palo if they're going to Palo on Pirate Night. And I will say the answer was in the Facebook group. The answer was emphatically no. Unless your pirate stuff is understated. If your pirate stuff is real understated, like you're wearing just like a black dress with the pirate bandana, like that's fine. You can wear that to Palo. But you're probably not going in full pirate costume. And you, I know, like to go in like full pirate costume, right? I love it. Well,
why not?
So how did you handle that then? Because you did decide to go to, this is your first time doing Palo on Pirate Night.
Yes. We just went back to the room and kind of got ready for dinner in like a little bit dressy dinnerwear, I guess. And then as soon as we were done with Palo, then I put on my pirate stuff, and my husband immediately fell asleep from eating too much of Palo and like missed the entire Pirate Night.
I'm not gonna say that he's alone in that, because I think that there have been many a time where we don't make it to Pirate Night, either because we are still at Palo just enjoying ourselves way too much, or because we are so full from Palo that we have decided to go back to our room. Because as you know from listening to our show, it is very common for the duo to eat at an adult-only restaurant on Pirate Night, because we're not huge Pirate Night menu or Pirate Night people in general. And so, although I enjoy the deck show. I just don't need to go see the deck show that often. But anyway, okay, so you end up going to Pirate Night by yourself. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I'm not super into big crowds, but I went up to see the show anyway, and I wanted to get at least one pirate character picture. So I did do a Chippendale character picture, and then
That's a great one. You got two for the price of one.
That's right.
Yeah. You got two pictures, actually.
Yeah, and then I went up on deck after that, which I didn't have a very good spot, but I was kind of, craning my neck and squishing in on deck 12 and trying to see what I could. But I always think it's fun just to see at least the fireworks if you can't catch the whole show.
Yeah. Now, would you do adult dining on Pirate Night again? I know this, like I said, this was a first time doing that for you, and you were a little bit like wary of it because you didn't want to miss Pirate Night, and you like the Pirate Night menu from what I recall.
That's
So,
right.
yeah. So, you know, would you do it again, or was this a one and done? And I mean, is this a one and done on Pirate Night specifically? Like, would you do that? Because I guess the other question is, would you do Palo dinner again, but maybe on a different night?
Ooh, that's tough. It did feel like it was a lot of things compressed into one night. I didn't feel like we were rushing or anything, but and I can't remember. I think our reservation was maybe like 6:45 or something like that. So it wasn't super late, so I could still make it to all the pirate stuff. I would probably do it on Pirate Night again. The only thing I don't like about Palo dinner is like giving up one of the evenings in the dining room because we were like enjoying visiting with the couple that they put us with. And so that kind of cut out one night of interacting with them, I guess. Um, yeah, the menu is, we're not like super excited about any of the main dining menus. And so I think it'd be okay to miss one of those. But I was just like, well, I'll do this one so we don't miss like one of the rotations. That way we're missing like the second night at Animator's Palette.
That's why we tend to choose it as well, because then you're not missing one of the regular rotation nights. Which means you're not missing a show if that happens to be, if it's not Pirate Night, you might end up booking, for example, Apollo on the night that you're supposed to be in Animators, and you might miss, the Sorcerer Mickey show or the Animation Magic, depending upon what ship you're on, right? So it's one of those things, or Crush. So it's one of those things where we don't want to. I don't want to miss a show. Let's put it that way. And so, I realize Brian is looking at me like, let's be honest, Sam, it's you who doesn't want to miss a show. Yeah. So I find that to be a great solution for that. Well, I'd love to talk about the dining experience with the other couple, right? So you guys were sailing just the two of you. You didn't request a private table, I take it, for dinner then. And so they just randomly pair you, well, random to you, but pair you with another couple?
I think so. This time we actually requested to be set with someone else because last time when it was the three of us, we were by ourselves and we were kind of like looking forward to meeting other people. And especially for my daughter, I was like really counting on that. And then we were like, what? There's no one else here. So that was weird. So this time I told my TA to like, make a note of it or something. I'm not sure exactly who they tell. But yeah, and so they did put us with another couple and they did not have children. They seemed like probably similar to our age. And that just ended up being fun because they were also kind of new to like cruising a lot. And they were actually had just done Alaska and then they're booked on the Panama Canal.
Oh,
And
wow.
so,
They have
yeah.
a bunch of stuff coming up. Did you tell them about our show, Beth?
Yes. We were like comparing like which vloggers do you watch and which podcasts do you listen to? She was like super into it. And also like on the first night, she was like, "Oh, did you see Mammoth Club is on here?" And we were like, "What?" And so like Molly and Alan were on there, if you guys know who that is. So we had a good time and they were from the Houston area. So we ended up like eventually kind of doing several trivias with them and some of the post dinner activities together.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Speaking of that, yeah, what kinds of activities did you guys get up to either as a couple, individually, or with your new cruise friends? Which I always say, cruise friends are the best kind of friends, right? But yeah, what were some of the favorites that you guys got up to on the sailing?
I really like doing the trivia. My husband is not super helpful with the trivia, so it was nice to have someone to pair. I did a ton of them. I like basically did all the ones I could make. But so like I remember doing the DCL trivia, and then I did there was a Muppets one, a Toy Story one. There was like a Beauty and the Beast one that we did. We did like the brain teasers, and we did a Broadway one, which was super hard. Could have used your help on that one.
I'll be honest and say, like, the only time we've won Broadway trivia was because we were sailing with a friend of mine who is like even like way more Broadway obsessed than I am. Like, cause I don't know like the names of all the actors. I don't know the more obscure shows. Like my friend, he knows all of that stuff. But yeah, it's really super, super. I find all the trivias to be pretty hard. The only one that I feel like we tend to do well on is brain teasers. Everything else is pretty like even DCL trivia is like for us who people consider DCL experts, like no, the questions they ask are like about like years and like number of like rooms and like they just ask really technical specific questions. Yeah, and that's just not our
they were
our
asking
strength.
like the godmothers and all of that stuff. I was just like,
if you ask me for the wish and the treasure, I know the godparents or the godchildren are for the wish. It's all the wish children, the Make-A-Wish children. And for the treasure, it's all the cast members of Disney Corporation worldwide. So I could tell you the godparents or god family of those two ships. I could not tell you any of the original four. Would not know this. What about some of the adult evening activities? What were some ones that you guys hit? I mean, did you go to Match Your Mate? Did you go to Pop or some of the I guess the music trivias are often in those evening ones as well.
The 90s music trivia was really fun. We did catch Match Your Mate, which I had not seen before, but since it's infamous, I had to get there. It was really fun. And then, like you said, the people who win, you see them all the time on the ship after that.
They're ship celebrities. So listen, if you don't want people to like know your business and to see you everywhere in the ship and comment about your your relationship or your intimate life, then don't be a contestant on Match Your Mate. Match Your Mate for those who talk about it, it's a newlywed style game. They take couples, usually one couple that's like newly married or engaged. They take one couple who's been together for, I don't know, anywhere between like 5 and 15 years. And then a third couple where they try to find like the oldest couple or the people who've been married the longest. And it's just, it's just hilarious. But those people become famous. So you saw those couples all around the ship.
Oh, yeah. The couple that won was actually 2 men, and they were hilarious. They were both from Mexico, and they would dress in matching outfits every day, like even the tennis shoes. It was amazing.
Listen, I love a coordinated outfit. Brian will not do it. I would totally do that. I think it's adorable, especially on a cruise when you're taking pictures and stuff. I wouldn't do it like in our everyday lives. Like that would be weird. But like I would do it on a cruise for pictures. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, those are, I think, all super fun activities to do. What about some of your daytime activities? Did you guys hit the spa at all? Did you do any of the drink tastings? What kinds of things did you get up to during the daytime hours?
Let's see. I'm not a big drinker, so I did not sign up for any of those. I would love to do that morning one that's like only offered on embarkation day when no one can do it.
Kickstart day.
Yeah.
Kickstart your day. And it's like in the middle of the afternoon now. They used to do it at other times.
Weird. It was like at 12:30 on embarkation day. I'm like, okay, if I would have known we were getting on super early, I could have done it. But I did go to the gym. I went to the Cove Cafe. We went to Satellite Falls on, I think, the Nassau day. That was really nice. I felt like we didn't take advantage of just lounging on the deck because I'm constantly checking the navigator for activities and I'm just like hearting everything. Like
that's because you're like me, Beth. And
yes.
I'm guessing is your husband like Brian, he's sitting on the pool deck just reading.
Exactly. He's like, you don't need to go to all these. And I'm just like, I gotta make this and this and this.
Yes. It's
Yeah,
FOMO,
so
right? It's
he's
the
more like, just
yeah.
pick like one thing you like and focus on that. And I'm like, well, we haven't done any of this stuff before because the other two, we were like really concerned about like, is my daughter having fun and where is she and what's going on? And so there were several things that we had never even done before. Like, I don't even know if I went in any of the lounges last time. And so I like to draw, so I always want to try to make as many of the animation classes as I can. So I think I was only able to do 2 of those. We even did like one of the 3D crafts, which is kind of
I
silly.
have done the silly 3D crafts. I will be
Yes.
totally I probably won't do that again because they're not like
It's
I
one
mean, it's
and
fine.
done.
Yeah, it's like it's a good thing to do if you've got like younger kids, like
Yes,
they'll
for
enjoy
sure.
those crafts, but they're
Yeah.
not like super entertaining for the adults. Not the 3D crafts, at least.
Right.
There might be other crafts that would be, but
Yeah.
I know
It-
exactly the paper 3D crafts.
the
It's like,
paper ship
yeah.
is the one we did. And it was actually like, I feel like it'd be too hard for a kid to like cut out and
Mhm.
figure out how to put it together, but like not super exciting when you're done. Like, oh, what do I do with this? I
Totally.
did
And
do
you
the
can't really pack
anyone.
them. They like get
Oh
smushed.
yeah,
I
that's what I
didn't do
was
the
wondering. Like, how would I get this
yeah.
home?
I didn't do the ship one, but I did like the Mickey and Minnie ones, and
Oh
those
yeah,
like they couldn't bring them. Like I tried to bring them home, they were crushed.
we did anyone can cook. That was kind of neat. What else did we do?
Did you get to taste the food at Anyone Can Cook? I know that like
Yes.
so okay, good. Yeah, cuz I've heard sometimes they do let people taste it, right? So it's it's a cooking demonstration, not a cooking class, just to be clear. But I've heard different things about whether or not you actually get to taste the food at the end. So
Yeah, it was the like apple streusel thing, and they gave us like a teeny tiny like one bite with like a tiny bit of cream or ice cream on it. And then they gave us the little recipe as a handout.
well, that's nice. That's really nice. At least you can make it at home if you really
Mhm.
loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It looked very
Sounds
complicated on the paper.
yeah.
We did bingo for the first time,
Oh wow. You
and
packed it
oh
in,
yeah.
Beth. You
That
were
was really
kidding.
fun. Like, I was really impressed with the entertainment team and that. I mean, the girl who did it was just like super enthusiastic Australian lady, and it was just, yeah, she made it really fun. We did not win though. We were one away so many times.
Can't win them all. Did you see the baby race? Did you see
Yes.
Jack's Diaper Dash?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's another thing I had never seen before. And I was able to catch that. We were like, I think I was watching it from up on deck 4, but I could pretty much see. But yeah, that was fun. I just felt bad for the babies though. I'm just like, my daughter would have freaked out. Like, she would have been screaming.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's all the noise and all the people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
It's a
but that
lot.
was cute. And they did multiple heats. There were a lot of babies on this one. They did like at least 3 heats, and then they had to have the winners of those face off. That was cute. Oh, one of the things I really enjoyed was the visiting artist talk. And they did it like right after the Broadway trivia, which was cool, but like not a ton of people stayed. So I felt really bad. It was in the tube, and the guy was really interesting. His name was Ian Canower. I think that's how you say his last name. And he played Jafar, and then he played the dad in Believe. And it was just really interesting to hear like his whole background of how he got into theater and the different shows that he'd been in. And then I found it like the show was a lot more interesting because I like knew the guy who
Yeah,
was
you're like invested in one of the
yeah, I
actors.
was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, he was really good. So I thought that was cool that I hadn't caught that before.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Beth, is there anything else we've missed that you want to be sure to highlight off of this cruise before I turn you back over to Sam to subject you to her rapid fire round?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I guess the only other thing is we kind of decided that we had to like have a conversation about like, okay, are we going to do everything together or are we going to like split up and do what we want kind of thing? Because it was kind of weird with just the two of us. We like felt like we had to do everything together. So I think my husband wanted permission to not go to all the things I was doing. So I was like, I don't care what you do, go relax.
That's a great point. And I actually think in general, like you should have that conversation early on in the cruise, right? Like you don't necessarily have to have it before you go on the cruise. Maybe, you haven't thought about having that conversation, but like it is key for understanding each other's expectations. We tend to cruise in a choose your own adventure style. That's what I like to say, right? Like there is an expectation that we're all together for dinner. There's maybe a couple of things that Brian and I will typically, do together. Of course, adult dining we're going to do together, and we might have a massage, couples massage booked or something like that. But like Brian knows I'm going to go run around and do like a million activities, and I know he's not interested in doing a million activities. He wants to maybe like get his men's facial, or maybe sit by the pool and read a book, or sit in Cove Cafe and work some puzzles, right? So like we may do some of that stuff together too, but there's not an expectation for either of us that we do everything together. And that's when we sail with or without Nathan. We have kind of the same, when Nathan is sailing with us, which is really all the time now, we're going to probably make some time to do some family stuff. But we also don't expect Nathan to be with us the entire time. If he wants to spend a lot of his time in Edge, it's his vacation too, right? So I think it's great though to have that conversation with your family, and particularly if you're sailing as a couple, to have that conversation to understand what that expectation is. So nobody walks away from the cruise disappointed either that their spouse didn't spend time with them or that they didn't get to do the stuff they really wanted to
Yes.
do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, go ahead, Beth.
I was just going to say we ended up getting the family veranda this time, which we hadn't had, and we really enjoyed having just that little bit of extra floor space in there and some extra storage space. So I think I would definitely get that again.
Yeah. Yeah. It is definitely nice. And some people love the verandas for sure. We don't find we use them enough in the Caribbean or the Bahamas, but I totally get like there are people who love to sit out on the balcony, and I think that that's awesome, or drink their morning coffee on the balcony. So,
well, Beth, I think we have reached that point in the show where I'm going to hand you back over to Sam for some arbitrary questions, some arbitrary rules, and a dash of judgment of the round we know is rapid fire. So Sam, take it away.
Yay. All right. I'm going to skip right to my DCL questions because we did already do, I think, rapid fire the last time you were on the show. And so we hit your Disney favorites. But I really want to go back to cruise favorites because now you've got another ship to choose from, right? As far as, rotational dining, bar spaces, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to start at the most important place, which is shows, Disney stage shows. You've been on the Wonder, you've been on the Dream, you've been on the Fantasy. Which one has your favorite show and what show is that?
This is really hard because I really loved Frozen on the Fantasy, but Beauty and the Beast was so good.
Yeah, it's a hard decision.
Yeah, I think I still like Beauty and the Beast better, but I really thought the use of puppets was super fun in Frozen.
Totally agree. I mean, I would also inch it out for Beauty and the Beast because of the whole set design, the technology, all of it is so good. But Frozen is it's just, yeah. And I'm not a big Frozen movie fan, but that show is just, yeah, really, really well done. Okay. What is your favorite rotational dining? And you get to choose from the 3 ships you've been on.
I think I would still go with Animator's Palette just because it's fun.
Yeah, totally. All right. What ship has your favorite bar space or adult lounge space? Which one's the best?
I think I really like the spaces on the Fantasy better. but we haven't been on the Wonder since
Since they
the dry
updated.
dock and
Yeah.
everything. So I feel like we missed out on a bunch of that. Plus, my daughter was 4, so like there was not a lot of time for that.
Right.
But yeah, I think I really like the tube. That was a
Mhm.
really fun atmosphere. We probably spent most of the activities just happened to be in there, so we were in there a lot.
Yeah.
So I would say that.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of adult like game shows and trivias, and of course the adult only performances. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that goes on in the tube. So that makes complete sense to me. Okay, you've got a ton of activities you did on board on this cruise. And as you said, a lot of them were like first time for you. Now looking back across your cruises, if you could pick one activity, favorite activity on board, what activity would you say is the best?
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
That's
I know you
really
love
hard.
trivia. So is it like, I mean, does trivia still hold up now that you've done bingo and drawing and match your mate? I mean, so much.
I know. Match Your Mate was really fun to watch. I would say, like, as far as activities that I'm participating in, that I like the drawing classes the best. But I do like how there's a huge variety of trivias that you can do.
All right. So we're going to say
That
it's
was
a
a
tie
cheat.
then. Yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. You can pick two favorites. It's a tie between drawing and trivia. And I get what you're saying about participating in, because just watching is a little bit different than participating in. All right. Well, what's your favorite space to relax on the ship? It sounds like you did actually get some time to relax when you weren't running from activity to activity. Where did you enjoy relaxing the most?
I think I would say Satellite Falls was really nice. We should have spent more time there, but the afternoon we were there was good.
Yeah, I think Satellite Falls on Dream and Fantasy is like the best adult only relaxing space, whereas I think on the Magic and the Wonder, the Quiet Cove pool is the best adult. So it's different for each ship, right?
Yeah, the
or at least
pool looked
each
really
layout.
busy.
Yeah,
And then it was kind of like in the shade and like a walkway area. So it didn't look like super relaxing down there. But yeah, I could see if it was in a little bit different area, that would be nice.
yeah. All right, now this is probably the most important question. Which one is your favorite ship of the three?
Wait, I thought it was going to be what's your favorite bathroom?
No, because there's no contest, because there is like, you don't have any unique bathrooms like in the common spaces.
Enough. Go back and answer the question that was asked. Sorry,
Yeah.
I even opened the door to Sam talking more about bathrooms.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, yeah, which was your favorite ship? So Wonder, Dream, Fantasy. I mean, I know
that's tough.
It's hard because there's all that recency bias, right?
That's true. I mean, I feel like I still like the size of the Magic class ships better.
Mhm.
So I think I'm going to say Wonder, even though it's been so long since I've been on her.
Yeah, that makes sense. No worries. All right. The last question of rapid fire. Bucket list cruise, someplace you haven't been, but you would like to go on a Disney Cruise Line ship, and it can even be someplace that Disney Cruise Line doesn't currently sail. Where would you go, Beth?
Oh my goodness. This one is so hard for me. I feel like I would love to do one that goes to like the Asian parks, like ports near there that you could do an excursion to the parks. I think that would be really cool.
I love that. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for playing. You have passed with flying colors, especially because your show answer was spot on. And frankly, you even picked the best ship, even though it's been so long since you've been on the Wonder of the ones you've been on. Yeah, that's absolutely the best. Yeah. Thanks for playing, Beth. I know I'm going to let Brian ask the next question because I know he always wants to ask.
Okay.
Where's the nearest bathroom? I'm kidding.
Beth,
you are just beating this dead horse, Brian.
Oh, no.
I'm beating the dead horse.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! I think the listeners will know where the bulk of the bathroom discussion came from. Beth, what's next for you and your family?
Oh my gosh. Well, we did get a placeholder, but we have not placed it on anything yet. We are kind of going back and forth on what to do. I think our table friends have talked us into doing Alaska next, but we haven't booked it because we're still like figuring out the stuff with my daughter. So we're like, do we book a couples only one again? Or do we try to do a family one like next summer? And so, yeah, we're having a lot of trouble deciding. And then I've also been like going back and forth about the river cruise that you guys are doing. I would love to do that. So we kind of have the same issue. Like, do we just say, like, okay, Zoe's going to my parents and we're doing it by ourselves? Or, I feel bad, like, not giving her that opportunity if we do it. So I've been emailing Karen like a billion questions, and she's probably like, what is your deal?
Listen, it's definitely a hard decision. I will say, like, ABDs are harder to reschedule. Like, you can reschedule once, and
Yes.
it's within, I don't even know if I don't know when you can reschedule up until, like, I don't know if you can reschedule up until pay in full. But it's not refundable, whereas DCL is refundable. So like that's the hard, it's, as long as you're not staying concierge, it's refundable before pay in full. So, it's definitely a tough call, Beth.
But you can also move it to a land-based ABD or an ABD in the US. It might be a little bit easier to get to, or a short escape ABD. There are options. You get one chance to pick the different options. So yeah, it's sort of like it's like the end of the game show. There's door number 1, door number 2. I'm going to give you a chance to pick a different door. Are you sure? So yeah.
But shout out to Karen for helping in this decision making, because it is very hard, and
She's been very patient.
Yeah, and it's helpful to have a trusted travel advisor help you with those kinds of decisions, and also understanding the cancellation policies is really key if you've got a situation similar to Beth's where you might have to pivot, right? You might have to pivot that vacation or even cancel that vacation or figure out something else. So yeah, well, best of luck, Beth. I hope that you'll come back on when you do have, something booked and you've come back from another amazing Disney vacation, or maybe on another cruise line. Maybe you'll do Alaska, who knows? But yeah, we'd be happy to have you come back and tell us all about it.
Okay, thanks. It was great being on again.
Well, thanks to everyone out there for listening this week. We really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep getting great content from us every week. In fact, twice a week we publish shows. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to get all of those great episodes. And if you want to watch us live, we have a live show now every week, Monday nights, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, over on youtube.com/DCL Duo. So be sure to head over and check that out. If you want to help support the show, be sure to hit those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a written review, a 5-star written review, we will read it at the top of one of our main episodes. So please head over there and hit those 5 stars. Of course, you can also help support the show by supporting our fabulous show sponsor, My Path Unwinding Travel. If you want to book your next Disney vacation, head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo, or email them at dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. If you've got questions or you'd like to connect with us, the best way to do that is to head over to dclduo.com. It's got links to all of our things, full catalog of the podcast episodes, including a searchable catalog for the podcast, links off to our vlog, a link to our Etsy store where we sell some fun fan-inspired magnets, link to our Patreon if you'd like to help directly support the show each and every month. Just head over to the website or patreon.com/DCLDuo. Also has a way for you to sign up for our Substack newsletter that we're hoping to start really pumping out monthly here at least, and a few blog articles that we've written. So DCLDuo.com is the best way to connect with us. You can also, of course, email us at info@DCLDuo.com or reach out to us on our voicemail line at 402-413-5590. That's 402-413-5590. The DCL Duo Podcast is not affiliated with Disney Cruise Line, the Disney Company, or the Disney family of theme parks. The views expressed on the show are solely those of the individuals on the podcast and in no way reflect the views of the Disney Company or Disney Cruise Line. If you have questions about a Disney cruise or a Disney vacation, please contact the great folks over at My Path Unwinding Travel or Disney directly, or your own travel agent. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time for another fabulous adventure with the DCL Duo. Good night.